Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm taking this opportunity to discuss something that I've been feeling compelled to express and explain, knowing that at some point it's going to be a very beneficial and informative source of information as we continue to mature and evolve and heal. And we are coming into the realization of our potential while integrating our abilities and ways that we can go about our processing of how we heal and reframe our beliefs and traumas and programming and so on, being led into a new way of being through the introduction of a new paradigm altogether. But the topic I wanted to go ahead and discuss today was, how is it that we, as I always say, spiritual beings having a temporary human experience, how is it that we go about and using the wisdom of alchemy to transmute the old into the new, transmute the negative into positive, and so on, right? Because as I'm here organizing my thoughts for my level 2 of my course, I was pondering on how I would actually describe the process, as to me it's more of an instinct at this point, but I wanted to go ahead and explain it in a way that can be comprehended by most and done in an intentional process where it is effortless to do once we get the hang of it. So when we think about transmutation, for those that are not familiar with transmutation, it's almost like a metamorphosis, like what happens to a caterpillar right before it changes and is reborn into a butterfly, or a diamond under the pressures becoming a diamond after going through the pressures of the ground and the rocks that are pressing against it. So it's a process that, from the perspective of being within the embodiment of those emotional states or experiences, seem very dreadful, seem very painful, seem like a very extreme process, when in reality it's just a natural process of all things that become greater than what they were prior. The same as giving life to a child. We are seated with the implantation of the union of the essence within the egg, and with time it grows, and once it has matured enough and developed, it is ready to be released out and expressed in its full potential of a child, from a fetus to a newborn. So this is what a transmutation process is. Now, when we think about transmutation in terms of healing and allowing ourselves to lighten our load, our burdens, our pains, our traumas on the level of the soul, for example, what we're doing is we are taking ourselves and our lineage and our genetic imprint out of what you would say a loop cycle that has probably been on for eons. Because the same programming, the same beliefs, the same traumas, the same conditionings, and the same activations have been playing themselves out due to the genetic imprint of that lineage. And when you have a genetic imprint of such, and the same coordinates of those impressions are activated due to having the same mindset, due to being in the same environment, under the same influences, allowing the same traumas and abuse to go on, these imprints continue on through the lineage until someone is willing to set themselves into the full embodiment of these imprints, so that in that full embodiment of these energies, while being within it, like a caterpillar before changing into a butterfly, you can become one with it, so that from you transforming from the inside out, you recalibrate that blueprinted imprint of the vibrational signature that has continued to align the same experiences through the eons of that bloodline, for example. This is how most would say generational curses are passed down, because it's somewhat of a hex, right? A hex of placing someone or their conscious and awareness in a box, a hexagon of some sort. And if you are unable to manage your mental capacity, your consciousness out of that box of limitations, of fear, of oppression, of programming and conditioning, and the consumption of the influences in your environment, if you are unable to have the willpower to step out of that mental construct of your making that is imprinted within your vibrational signature of your genetics, it would just continue. So it doesn't matter how many generations come, they're going to be born and die within that same construct until someone breaks out of it. And it takes a very strong-willed, courageous, fearless individual to do this. And if you align with this message, or feel some resonance to it at least, you're more than likely being called to be that person in your lineage. Whether you do it or not is really your call. But just like everything, if you align with this information, maybe there's a message here for you. And if you are interested in answering that call for not only yourself, but the selfless act of your whole entire lineage, then this is what I'm going to go ahead and go through the process for you, so that in having a better understanding of what this is, what it feels like, what it comes with, and the disclaimers on it, you would be more mentally and spiritually prepared for it. Something that I wish I had before I started this journey years ago. But to get into that description and the process of it, understanding that it is literally the challenge of will against resistance. It is your intention to use your willpower to break outside of the box, to step outside of the box mentally, spiritually, and even physically most times. Because you have to step out of your comfort zone to do the process in every way possible. Because you have to shake up the foundation that has been building for eons. And it is not going to be pretty. It is not going to be comfortable. And because you are, per se, breaking a foundation, it's almost like breaking an entire empire and bringing it to scratch, which it doesn't have to be that drastic, but that's going to be the feeling within you. It is going to be you against yourself, the old you against the new you, the version of you that is now resisting against your innate nature of the foundation of your cells that have been constructed by the blueprint that has the imprint of those very things that you're trying to break yourself out of. You understand? So this is why it is not an easy task. This is why you have to have the mental capacity to go through this process, because you will quickly realize and understand that the only way out of this mental constructed box that has been within your lineage, your bloodline, your DNA, the only way out is through. It is through the process of experiencing the entirety of the process of the opportunities, the situations, the triggers, the traumas, the losses, all of it, so that you can neutralize the energies. And this is why when you have mastered yourself and have gained the complete autonomy of self, you can become a alchemist of your life. And before it comes into the grace of the beautiful surrender at the end of that tunnel, it is going to get ugly. Because remember, you are literally deconstructing something down to the skeleton so that you can rebuild it from scratch, only leaving the skeleton and rearranging and recalibrating so that it suits the upgraded version of yourself, the version of yourself that is now more in alignment with the new energies of evolution. And because we are attempting to align the lineage to the new energies of evolution, we understand that what cannot change cannot continue. So there will come a time that if the change isn't made, it's a complete annihilation and the loss of eons of wisdom, which would be completely tragic. Because if the denser energies cannot be transmuted into higher vibrating energies, they cannot continue through the evolution of all life, of Earth, of everything that is connected with itself. And what I mean when I say is it can't continue is, I'm going to go ahead and explain in depth what that really means. So if you heard me say before, I always say that we are all one consciousness, the mental of the all that is imagining us in the fantasy or the imagination of separation. It's almost like having a spray bottle and spraying and all the water molecules going their own separate ways, and in separating in their own separate ways, it still remains water, right? It still remains the element of water, just like the water that's in the bottle. But as it separates, while going through the distance of that separation, it becomes its own individualized expression based on where those particles of water fall, right? Which creates then the soul. So the spirit that we are all one in, the energy that connects all that is what the spirit is. So call it the Holy Spirit, which is what you connect to when you connect to your higher self. You connect to the all mind of all that is. Therefore, you are in the superposition of all infinite possibilities of yourself as spirit. This is why when you connect to your higher self, you quickly realize that there's no such thing as death. There's only a transition into another possibility, and now you have more control on how to maneuver and navigate yourself through that process based on your experience, based on your awareness of self, and based on the evolution of your soul that is allowing it to connect to spirit, therefore never losing those memories, those layers of wisdom that come through all life experiences, right? Now, what happens to the souls that we all descend, well, everything, always, there's a cyclical process to the soul evolution. It always comes down and up, down and up. That is the inevitable process of birth and death. But what happens is you have, particles of the water element that fall, and they are in conditions, let's say they fell into a swamp that remains moist. And in this swamp, because it's moist and there's not heat to evaporate the water, so that in that evaporation, it transitions into higher planes, into other possibilities of itself, and allows itself to experience more of the vastness of its potential as a soul. It remains stuck within the swamp because maybe the conditions of the environment aren't right so that it can evolve. Maybe it continues to rain. It just never moves. It remains stagnant. Now I'm putting this metaphorically in example so that we have a better understanding. But as a soul, what this looks like is, once again, I'll bring in the example of the spray bottle. The spirit is the water that comes from the infinite vastness of, let's say, the ocean. But I'm taking that ocean water, putting it in the bottle, and I have a certain amount of water in that bottle, which would be the spirit, which is still connected to the even greater source of water of the ocean, which in itself is immensely vast. And then that ocean is connected to another bigger ocean of the galaxies and the planets. So you see, it's an infinite continuation of fractalization upon fractalization that never ends, which is why there's never death, just a transition to another possibility. I digress. Going back to the bottle. Now as I spray the bottle and these particles of water squirt out, we have some water particles that they fall on a metal surface, and because it's being hit by the sun, it evaporates quickly. So the experience as a single individualized water particle for that particle that fell on a surface that evaporated it quickly would be just considered a moment to be had as a particle on top of a surface that dried it up instantly. And that could be considered like newborns that unfortunately could die either at birth or even as a miscarriage due to the environment where it landed, due to the circumstances, due to the destiny or the orchestration of that soul that wanted to experience whatever it was that I wanted to experience, if we place the intention. Now a surface where it fell in a pond, now it reconnects, but it still gets to experience the reconnection to another source of water. So maybe the ocean water coming out of the ocean into the bottle, and then into the bottle of the spirit into a pond. The experiences don't really change, but now it's more of a different texture of water, where there's different fishes and it's not salty, now it's fresh water, and so on. So that gives it a different experience. And then you think about water that fell in a sewer, it's going to be a different experience. So now when it comes to, let's say, the particles, that is what a soul would be. So the soul is once aspect of yourself is separated from the spirit into the particles of those waters. Those particles of waters, because they are in the experience or the illusion that they are separate from the main water, they start to create their own individualized experience, which is how the ego comes about. And the ego is what allows us to construct the mental construct that allows us to say, my name is this, I live here, my favorite color is this, my status, my family, my culture, my religion, all of that is ego-based, monetary, physical. Consider it like the costume we wear to play out the characters of life. Now both aspects do serve us. They are both needed for the experience of the duality that allows us to expand our awareness of self, not only as a soul, but as a spirit, because everything comes back full circle and comes back to spirit, so that when it comes back to spirit, it is expanded with more information based on more experiences, based on more evolution, technology, levels of awareness, perspectives, point of views, suffering, tragedy, and all of that. Now the spirit knows more of the self through the infinite possibilities of itself, through the fractalization of self, which is all really mental. Mental, that is mentally capable to imagine infinite possibilities of what can be and what it can create and what it can imagine through all embodiments. And what amplifies and enhances the ability for our imagination to actually expand is the experience of life. Now what happens is, if a soul can't return back to source with the experiences of pain and the stuckness and all these, we don't have the information of that wisdom, the data that comes from the experiential knowledge of those experiences back to source. It's not connecting. It's almost as if source, let's say God, can't really fix what it doesn't even know is happening. Can't even imagine something different or discomfort or a suffering if it's not aware of it's happening, right? Because we can't consciously recalibrate, rearrange something if we are not consciously aware of its unconsciousness, if that makes any sense. I'm trying to articulate this knowing into words so that it can be understood and resonated. And I hope I'm doing my best here, so I really hope that it's getting to an understanding. So as we know, the energies of Earth, the vibrations, are rising, because as everything always goes through the cycles of the fall and the rise, the fall and the rise, and some call it yuga cycles, and the yuga cycles are going around and we're coming back up into the rising. Into that rising, we have a lot of energies that are evolving, that are healing, that are transitioning, that are changing those aspects that keep them in and stuck in the denser probabilities of themselves, therefore aligning to a better outcome, while also having energies that are not doing anything of that, which doesn't make it a right or wrong. It is what it is. There's no right or wrong. Everyone has their reasoning, everyone chooses, and like I said, there's no right or wrong. Sometimes those energies just decide to stay because they don't know anything else. They have fear against change. They're stuck in their ways. They're stuck in their comforts. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, what I was trying to explain before is that what cannot change cannot continue. What that means is, like, just like cells in our bodies, we have cells that go through a metamorphosis themselves. I think it's called mitosis. And when a cell is growing and evolving, what happens is it separates. It divides into two, and sometimes when dividing into two, it divides in its complete contrast, right? So if it has too much negativity or toxins or things that don't serve the body to remain in health and harmony, when that cell divides, it's going to polarize itself so that the healthier good cell remains active and in harmony with itself, while it purges out anything that goes against that health and harmony. Because the body, on a grand scheme of things, the body knows how to keep itself alive. The body knows how to heal itself. It's a natural, innate intelligence that knows how to clean out its own system when necessary. So let's say that this cell, going through this process, notices that it's not as healthy as it needs to be, it's not as energized as it needs to be. It's going to attempt to find what within it, what distortions, what parasites, what toxins it has in it, and it's going to, like, push it away from itself, almost like a resistance, a repelling effect. Because when the cell is being divided to multiply, it also can feel when there is something foreign in it, and when it has enough energy to repel that foreign stuff out of itself, it's going to do it through the process of the mitosis. And when that's happening, just like a lot of people are speaking about the new earth and old earth, it's almost like that's what the process is. It's not necessarily a place. The 5D and 3D is not necessarily a place that we're going to all just jump into. It's a process that is occurring naturally through the natural course of all living things. When cells divide to multiply, this is the process. And now let's say that the cell has a lot of negativity in it, or things that are not so healthy to maintain its health, to maintain the body alive. When it separates, it's going to polarize itself. So now when the separation occurs, they still continue living, right? They're going to divide, but the much healthier cell is going to divide and elevate into a location where it aligns best and is going to thrive, because it's aligning and vibrating at the same frequency as the body in its healthy state of being. Now, if the body was unhealthy, there won't be no differentiation of resonance as to where the cells would go. So there will be no elevation. They just remain. But what happens is the much sicker cell is going to, with time, deteriorate faster. It's going to be stagnant. It's not going to have enough oxygen, so it's going to start dying off, where eventually it does die off, and it purges itself and ejects itself out of the body. So that is the death of a cell. And we have trillions and trillions of cells in our body, and this process is literally happening every second of the day, from the time we are born to the time we are dying. And obviously we don't feel it because we are within it, and we're too in it to know the difference of what's really happening. And this is the same thing with the universe. We are an infinite amount of fractalizations happening upon itself, layer upon layer. So when we know and understand the micro, we better understand the macro, and then we better understand the why behind why things happen the way they do, and why it is crucial to have these levels of wisdom so that we can position ourselves in the most ideal position. So, in terms of going back to the spiritual aspect of it as a soul, if the soul is too dense to align itself with the evolution of a healthy cell to remain in a healthy body, it's going to be in perfect alignment with the sicker cell, which is going to look more distorted. It's going to be more dehydrated. It's going to be more chaos. It's going to be more of the negative aspects of our existence until it dies off. It always happens. This is a non-inevitable process, I must say, right? So now the choice is yours. When you know this is what's happening on the macro and micro scale, what is your life aligning with in terms of your energy, your thoughts, your emotions, your behavior? Is it in the energy of love and health and harmony? Or is it in chaos and disruption, deception, and so on? There's always a position for either or. There's no right or wrong. Just know that history always repeats itself. And when you are in the energy of disruption, of chaos, of theft, of murder, of negativity, your time is limited. Because even when you are in that energy, you're always going to come back to source, even if you don't remember who you are. You're always going to come back to source. You're just going to have to start the cycle all over again and not have any insight or memory or wisdom of all these experiences that you had, which would amplify source. So there's enough people recycling back to source, connecting with their higher selves, with the memories of themselves and the experiential wisdom that they gained throughout all lifetimes. So it's not like source will miss out on it, but it's more of a lineage thing. It's more of the time has come where the body is growing, it's becoming healthier, and only the strongest and the healthiest cells can continue with the intention of having a strong and healthy body so that it can continue in life. So knowing this, we don't want to align ourselves with our actions and our inability to forgive and let go with the denser and sicker cells, because here we are only placing ourselves in our own made-up hell, where we don't get to experience the abundance of what our full potential can potentially be if we do the work and we do the healing. So I hope that this description and metaphor helped you better comprehend the process of life on the micro and macro scale, understanding that as within, so without, and with the intention currently being on the uprising of health and harmony and love and peace, and back into a union of oneness. Then if you're stepping off that course, just know that when history repeats itself, just like every empire that has risen and fallen because of their attachment to their ego-based perceptions of life, where being selfish was higher than being selfless, where hate was bigger than love, and so on, then those are only temporary, and A serves its part. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. We need both aspects so that we can all, in our interaction and our experiences, have the complete contrast of what that looks like and what that is, even for those that are choosing to ascend and evolve with Earth. So everybody has a role, everybody has a purpose. Not one purpose is greater than the other, because it all serves its purpose. But now with this wisdom and this knowledge that I'm sharing with you, it is an opportunity to place you in a position to have a choice and to have the option. Because when you know better, you tend to do better. It is only when you live in the ignorance that we don't know what to necessarily choose or do or be, because we don't really know the purpose behind it. So I hope that with this information, you understand that you're being given a choice, and now you have a better understanding as to why the choice would fit you and will not fit you, which, like I said, either one is okay. So now if the intention is to evolve and grow and expand and heal, not only for yourself, but for your lineage, your genetic imprint, the legacy that you will leave, and the wisdom that you will gain and take with you when you integrate back with Source, if it is that which you choose, then I invite you to continue on with this breakdown that I will about to give you, as I wanted to put into words the process of what that is. And I